What's up guys, Shawnee Dogs here, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to do the Easter egg for Attack of the Radioactive Thing. Now this is a very long-winded Easter egg, so to save some time, the very first things that you will need to do are to talk to Elvira, get the power turned on, and gain access to the Pack-a-Punch room. I have an entire tutorial playlist for this map if you need help with those things, but you should be able to do all of those by round 8. It does take a little bit of time for the Pack-a-Punch just because you have to melee a certain amount of zombies, and that can take you through the rounds. But your main objective through the first 8 or 9 rounds should just be to build up points and unlock most of the map. Assuming that you have done all of this, you will then need to collect 3 different sets of parts, and they can be collected in any order. These are the zombie parts, the Chem Station parts, and the bomb parts. I will show you the bomb parts first because they can be collected by like round 3, as you see here. The first one is right below this red car, and this location is in between the motel and Elvira down the street. The next location, you may have already seen me pick it up on my way to the power. It is just under the bridge right at the end of this stream. This last one that I'm showing you is technically the first one that you have access to right by this fence before you make it up to Elvira, but I'm showing it last because when I'm trying to save points and do this as early as possible, right when I gain access to that beach area, I turn around and start unlocking the other parts of the map from the opposite direction. The next set of parts that you will need to find is for the Chem Station. Keep in mind that you can do these in any order. The first one is just on this bench, which is right past the area with Elvira in this trailer park. If you continue in the direction away from Elvira, you will come out to an overlook on the beach, and this is where you will find your second part, again sitting at the end of a table. The last part for this Chem Station is sitting on a couch in the back room of this market. You will then need to find 6 zombie body parts. Again, these can be in any order. The very first green glowing zombie that you melee with the cleaver will drop one of his legs. That's one of the parts that you need, and depending on where you kill him, this drop will be different every time. So you need to make sure that you remember exactly where you kill this guy, or you will never find that leg. The other leg can be found by throwing a grenade in this tree, and this is just before you get up to Elvira. It can be done with any sort of explosive weapon damage, but you cannot do it with gas grenades, so you might want to do this early on. To get one of the zombie arms, you actually need to make a buildable on the map. One of the parts was right there at that porta potty. The other 2, they're not really worth showing because they are very simple to get. They're just on the perimeter of the diner. I was doing a lot of multitasking here, and on the table inside this building, I actually picked up another part which you need to finish off this zombie. But once you build this device, you'll want to take it back to that arm where you built the power, and you'll put it right on top. Now, it will kill any zombies in the area, so if you're holding a zombie, you might want to run away, and it disappears after it slams the ground around 13 times. And after around the 3rd or 4th time that it does that, the arm will pop out of the ground and you can pick it up. Now, if you head back over to this trailer park, in this bonfire, you will find the other arm, and just across, you will need the crowbar for this or else it will not work. You just have to melee this piece of glass in the bathroom and pick it up. To get the torso for the zombie, you just need to activate the freeze trap in this room, melee the pig, and it will expose the torso. But in order to turn on the freeze trap, you need to find the fuse box, which can be located just across the street on the left side of the gas station on top of some boxes. It never moves, and the trap costs $7.50. Before you can move on to the next step, you will need 2 more mirrors, the first of which can be found by meleeing this car, and the second is actually on the couch that Elvira sits on. You can only access it after you summon her after filling up a vial, so be sure not to forget that, or else you'll have to fill up an entire other vial just to get that mirror. This step that you see me doing here involves meleeing 4 pressure gauges when they get on a certain number. It changes from game to game, and this is to open a safe. The code can be obtained by going prone and looking up at this desk right next to the safe, and the valves are very easy to find. 3 of them are outside, the one that I just showed by the gas station. There's one on the other side of the small building right where you turn on the power. The 3rd can be found outside the hot dog stand, just outside of the spawn area, and the last one is actually in the same exact room where you find the crowbar in the first place, right at the motel. Once you've gone through the map and found all of these parts, you can start progressing towards the end of the Easter egg. You'll need to place all of your parts. You can see where I placed the zombie Right here, as you enter the room on the left, you may be able to see it on those boxes. That's where I placed one of the mirrors. Another one is right next to the zombie on his left side. Another one is right next to him on his right side on the green boxes. You just interact with them and it will place them immediately. You will then need to enter a code on this little typewriter machine. In my case, it was 53468. But it changes from game to game and it gives you 3 tries each time you go to enter the code to put it in, and it's essentially just trial and error. The good thing about the code is that these numbers are always exactly the same, they are just in a different order, so you don't have to try out every combination, and once you get it right, you hold your interact button again on the machine and it will shoot a laser at the zombie, bringing him to life. You will then have to shock it for a second time, so you have to put in the same exact code that you just entered that was correct, but now you have to enter it backwards. Mine was 86435, but again, yours will likely be different. Once you enter this code for the second time and you interact with the machine, it will shock the zombie and he will explode into a key, unlocking the garage, which you will need to access the final area of the boss fight. At this point in the game, when you press your back button, you should have every single item filled out and you are ready to go. You just have to mix some random ingredients that are found in the map. All the hard work has already been done, the Easter egg has been solved, and you just have to basically copy and paste and make these compounds for yourself. As you enter the room, be sure to add your parts to this table, as well as adding your parts to the bomb itself. The only issue that you will have now is that you have to enter a number every single time that you add elements. So you need to know what number to type in, and you'll notice that that machine right in front of Elvira, it changes the colors of the film from red to green to blue. You will need to be using these colors to your advantage to find out how to calculate your number. It's different from game to game, and this is probably the longest, hardest part of the Easter egg, trying to figure out how to get this number. The first part consists of finding 4 different equations that are scattered around the map, and you have to go to them in different colors, and 1 out of the 4 in each color will have a do not equals. It will have the equal sign crossed out, so you will know that that is not your number. So you'll see right here, this first location is on the underside of this bridge. I saw that the equal sign was not crossed out, so that still has the potential to be my number, so I immediately left the area in search of the others. The second location is in this trailer that you can access by pressing this button in the Pack-a-Punch room. It's right on the fridge, and you can see that it shows a do not equal symbol, so this is definitely not my number. So I need to go back to the other 3 locations until I'm down to just 1 do not equals, and whatever that number is the one that I need to use. The third location for these symbols is on this door right next to the garage that we just opened, and the last is all the way in the back room of the market on the right side of the wall. Once you figure out what your number is, I don't want to tell you mine because I don't want to confuse you. You go to this reception area of the hotel and you'll see up there in the corner, there's a number above that Roman numeral. So now you take that number that you got from one of those 4 locations, as well as this number above the Roman numeral, you multiply them together, and whatever you get, that is the color that you need to use. It corresponds to this color on this TV next to Elvira. And in my case, because my numbers were 15 and 6, that multiplies together for 90, so my color was green. Now that you know what color you need to use, while you're in this color, you need to go to these 6 different boards around the map and take a look at the numbers. I would definitely recommend screenshotting. That's what I'm doing here. That's why I'm pausing so often. I don't want to die. These boards aren't really hidden at all. They're in pretty obvious locations, and the numbers always change even when you change what color you're in. That is why it is very important that you get this color right, so you have all of these numbers right on each of these different lists. So now we've laid down all the groundwork, and all we have to do is mix these different chemicals together. The reason why we screenshotted all of the lists, what we're doing is we're gathering different materials. Every single one of the materials is listed on each of those lists, and the numbers in those diamonds, the one in the left and the top of the diamond, is the one that you need to use. You need to take those 2 numbers. Say I'm putting in detergent into one of my compounds. I take the number in the left part of the diamond and the top part of the diamond for detergent. I add them up, and I do the same thing for all my other ingredients. I add those, and then at the end, I need to subtract what my number was from those that do not equal step, the one that the number did actually equal. So you take your compounds, You add up those two numbers on the left and the top, and then once you're done adding those, you just simply subtract whatever your number was for your specific game. It's extremely simple math, just basic addition and subtraction. It does take a little bit of time. You'll probably want to do this at the end of the round. If you're playing co-op, you'll need to have someone hold a zombie. I will also give you a moment to pause the video. I've created a cheat sheet that has the location of every single material that you need to reach one of the endgame compounds, as well as the different trees that you need to take. There's 4 different endgame compounds, and in each of your games, you will only be able to make one that will work on your nuke. To figure out which one that is, you just need to listen to the radios that are scattered around the map. There's literally one right behind the gas station, and you just hold square to interact with it, and you'll hear the chemicals that they start talking about. That's the one that you need to start making. But after you complete this very long-winded process, you are finally able to enter the boss fight. You take your chemical, you add it to the bomb, and it starts the teleportation sequence. In the first stage of the fight, you will have to escort your nuke all the way down to the beach. You are confined to this area, and when you stand by it, it will start to move. It only moves while you're with it, and the boss will continually launch a barrage of fireballs at you, and you'll have to abandon the nuke at least for a short while. I never ended up dying on this step because it's really not that difficult. If you have to, just leave the nuke because you have all the time in the world to complete this step. Your only issue should be training the zombies, making sure that they don't trap you in a corner. As you get closer and closer to the end of the beach, he will start firing the fireballs a lot more often, and he will also throw down a bunch of crogs. They will fall from the sky, and I would just suggest training at this point because only a certain amount of zombies can spawn in on the map, and you can just leave all of them and have them run behind you. The key here is to just be patient and take it a little bit at a time, and once it finally makes its way down to the beach, it will get launched at the boss, and he will actually eat the nuke. It won't affect him at all, and now he will stand up and actually try to fight you. I managed to go down at this point, and I lost all of my perks because I was trying to figure out a strategy that works, and I found that the best thing is to do what I'm doing here, just stay all the way back in the map. He occasionally launches more crogs and fireballs at you, but the main point in coming back here is to get all of the zombies back here. The zombies will continue to spawn through this throughout, so you want to have them as far back as possible. And then what I did is I ran all the way up to the right side of this area, and this strategy gives you enough time to get one shot off with this death ray cannon that you can go on. You charge it up, and when he does that attack where he shoots a beam of light at you, you want to try and shoot his core before he can get it off. Once you do this, the core will be exposed for the entire rest of this stage. That'll be the only attack that you really have to dodge. The only one that he has that's not the barrage of fireballs is that he will occasionally slam the ground, but because in my strategy I stay so far back, the slam doesn't affect me. Again, the key here is to take your time, and once you land 3 clean shots on him, you'll see that acid will start to spew from his mouth. This means that you're ready to move on to the final stage of the boss fight, so you want to make your way down to the beach and hold square to interact with the same nuke that you launched into his mouth, and this will start the last stage. You'll see that the map is much more closed off now, and you want to position yourself all the way along this back wall as far as it lets you. You will get a max ammo around every 2 minutes or so you want to spam as much as possible. What's happening in this stage is he continues to spew acid further and further along the beach until you are just trapped all the way back here. So if you just stay back here anyway, although you do have the room to maneuver in front of you, the acid will force you back here in a few seconds, and you basically just have to survive. You have to hold off, kill as many zombies as possible, and if you manage to hold off, once the acid gets very, very close to you, everything will stop, the zombies will stop spawning, and you will have an opportunity to kill the boss. He will shoot lasers, you have to crouch under the first one, jump under the second, and from there, it's basically, you just gotta show off your parkour skill. I was having some major controller issues. I couldn't even jump. I don't know what happened, but I almost died here. I didn't, so I'll get to show you what happens if you fail this step, but you don't get killed by the lasers. The lasers will insta-kill you if you touch them, and your goal there is to make it to the end of the beach. If you do fail, however, you can reset it just by going up to the nuke and starting this stage again, and we'll do the same process. I found that the second time around, it was much faster and a lot easier to get to the same point with the lasers. Unfortunately, I choked it in the end. The very last jump, I chose to jump super early, threw off the timing, and got absolutely demolished. So I didn't make it to the end of the Easter egg, but literally all you have to do after you make the last jump is hold square to interact with that bomb. It will put you inside the boss's stomach with the nuke, and what you have to do is that code that you got from the safe, what you just saw flash on my screen, that 51782, it no longer lets you press the back button, and it gives you like 10 seconds to enter the code. Very similar to the step where to get the key, you had to enter that 5-digit code so that you could shoot off the laser. I was pretty bummed out that I died literally inches away from completing the Easter egg, but I wanted to get this guide out to you guys as soon as possible so that you could try to take it on for yourself. I would highly recommend pack-a-punching the starting pistol. It can save you from some pretty bad situations, but that is going to wrap it up for this one. If you did enjoy or found it helpful, please be sure to drop a like, comment down below with any thoughts or questions you may have, and as always, subscribe to the channel if you guys are brand new for some more great videos, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.